Hello, Zack. How are you?
I'm good. How was the apple fritter?
Oh yeah, that was great. It was good. He suggested to warm it up in the microwave for a few seconds.
Mm.
I don't know, man. I just dude, communal microwaves kind of freak me out a little bit, so I opted
Where
not
was
to.
it?
Um, Rachel's Donuts in downtown Hampton.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. Probably top of the list in terms of apple fritters in the area.
Rachel's, what'd you call it?
Rachel's Donuts.
There's a place in downtown Hampton apparently that's really good.
I think it used to be called something else beforehand. I don't know. It's across the street from the from Old Point National Bank.
It looked the part. Anyway,
It was good.
growing up
It was good.
growing up as a kid, were you a collector of anything?
I did collect baseball cards.
You did.
Yeah, still have many of them.
Really?
Um, yeah, they're
Where
in the
where
attics.
where? In the
They're up
attic. Okay.
in the attic someplace.
Do you
I
think
got rid
about
of a
selling
lot of
those or
the.
anything?
Well, it's one of those things. It's like um, just the time that goes into it in terms of I just don't have that kind of time. So it's just like I know they're not necessarily going down in value, or at least I hope that they're not. But
Have you ever watched the minimalism documentary?
no. Mm-mm.
It's interesting. Like we have all these things growing up, attics full, garages full of stuff. Some of the stuff we use, like I know some people in your family are big fans of that. 2 months at the end of the year where you have Christmas trees up and lights. And I say 2 months because I know that the tree goes up so early. So you have all these things. Those aren't collectibles per se. Those are valuables. Those are things that you should showcase. But there are things as we grow up and as adults that we collect. And I got my WWE belt somewhere back there, and I'm only going to ever have one of those. But we do collect these things, and so it's interesting to see like what people do with them after a while. Because I don't know what they do, and
Yeah.
I used to have cards, but I don't know where they are. I don't know if I've thrown them away in a
Yeah,
move.
I
I
have,
should I
I
should
have
look
I
for
have
them.
some vinyl, some old vinyl. I have trying to think what else I have. A lot of CDs, a lot of limited edition like CDs that I bought.
Wow, like
I don't know.
CDs. You
Yeah,
didn't throw those
compact
away?
discs. Dude, I have hundreds and hundreds of CDs. Man, I just don't have it. I don't have it in my heart to toss them. But I don't know, man. I wish that there was a seamless process to like be able to monetize something like that. Maybe Ricky's demand.
Yeah, I hope so. Right, we're building a fantastic platform for collectors to build communities around what they love, and then buy, sell, trade with their community and the retailers and brands that empower them. It's not really about the collectible; it's about the community, and then really in helping you find more of what you love. So there's great platforms out there to buy and sell. That haven't brought the community aspect with it. So, eBay and Macari, where you traditionally go and try to sell something. We think by bringing community and really having someone to talk to, uh, from after you've bought it, you have someone to talk to about it with. We're kind of changing the game a little bit and bringing it back to what it would have been as you as a kid, like you said, with the baseball cards, like getting, opening a fresh pack and you want to share it with your friend. So that's what we're bringing to the space.
Yeah, one of the things that I look back at and I ponder from time to time, like we'll go through the attic or something, and I have an unopened pack of the Simpsons trading cards. And I mean, so at this point now, I mean, it's probably like 25, 30 years old, but it's an unopened pack. And
Dude,
I
that's
don't
worth a
know.
lot of money.
But well, that's what I'm thinking, and it's just like, is it? I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, man, in there could be like some crazy
Yeah,
rare
definitely.
card.
Right. So the wax pack era of the 80s was pretty exciting. Things like Simpsons, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the
There
other,
you
like
go, Zach.
all those wax packs. You know, for us, the product we're building, we're not focused on helping you, uh, like, showing the collector like the potential value. It's about
Mhm.
building the community around what you love and sharing what you love up front. And then the side effect of that is obviously
Yeah.
you're able to sell things that or that have become valuable to
I
people
don't.
that'll cherish and love them just as much as you did.
Okay. I'm gonna use the same word that I used last week. So devil's advocate. So how do you build a business around the community aspect of it when like is it just like they're talking about it and it really has nothing to do with the actual transaction of that stuff, and so we should remove the transaction aspect, and if that happens it happens, so it's more like I don't know, play
Yeah,
dates of these things, right? And so that's the thing. And then the transaction, if someone decides that they want to sell their, Dungeons and Dragons cards, it's fine. That happens. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, canisters of ooze, they can sell that if they want. But it's all about bringing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans together in a place
it's
where
about
they're a
bringing the
community.
fans together. And then, so the problem with people, like if you love something, if you love an IP, the problem with a lot of the things that you love that are hard to find, they're kind of locked down to the people that love it the most, right? So you're really passionate collectors that have spent years or decades collecting these things. That's the kind of the warehouse of what you would really want to find has someone that really loves these products. So they eBay is kind of one size fits all, and Macari is one size fits all. Um, and they do like selling, but for them, paying that 15% fee is too high. So a lot of the aspect, like maybe it doesn't fit the right product. A lot of the things like we would do inside of Cliqket, like selling, you might sell 100 things at one time, each with individual pricing and shipping and all the things. Um, a lot of that stuff's locked down by dealers, and dealers really only like to deal with other like very passionate people. So yeah, we're a community first, but inside that community, anyone can come and build a community on Cliqket. So make your click as you would, and you can invite the community and the dealers and the retailers and the brands that empower that community.
Hmm.
And we're focused on, so yes, we have per item transaction fee, but they don't have to pay it. So you pay it because, um, in the transactional fee, you're paying it because it gives you the shipping, the insurance, and all the other things, or it's giving you something beneficial, like in our brokered trades. So we're going to verify the relevance of the items, make sure that it's real, certified, and then finish the trade. So we offer a lot of like advantages, but those are almost everything in Cliqket is very optional to pay. But you as a like click creator, your click is fully monetized from subscriptions to your merchandise coming through there, brand deals and retail deals, and then of course the individual per item transactions.
What's the genesis of Click How did you come up
Oh man,
with the business idea?
yeah. So I'm a lifelong collector. I've been collecting since before the internet. So I was on message boards on AOL and Prodigy, buying Pez from Canada and all over the world, and it's followed me through my whole life. So I've collected everything, and I still do. And both me and my wife do. We collect really IP and not like individual items, right? So you might collect Star Wars and all things Star Wars, and have a nice little collection around it. But it's come from like all my problems with Facebook Marketplace, eBay, all the things like that have one size fits all market. And then once you've bought it, you don't really have anyone to share with, or the market is so like in an eBay, it might be too cluttered with things that aren't relevant to what you love. So it's really come about like trying to solve a problem for me and other collectors like me that want to get to like the higher end pieces or rare pieces as you would, and trying to find those, and then being able to share that with somebody. So bringing that community aspect, having someone to talk to it with, or talk to it about.
So one of the things, so I was in San Antonio a couple weeks ago for the Royal Rumble. I'm a big wrestling fan. And I think I was telling Tim this, but they have all this memorabilia specifically that they've saved over the years. And one of the aspects of the event was they were going to showcase some of the memorabilia of wrestlers who had wrestled, and there was maybe 15 or 20 pieces of stuff. So anything from the outfits that people would wear, maybe some of the old championship belts, things like that. And it's interesting. So that's a physical space that they had at this thing. And a lot of people think that they're going to make this WWE Hall of Fame kind of museum where they can have all that stuff. The challenge is WWE personally is trying to, as a business, I guess, garner all of that stuff back from their wrestlers from the past, and so they're kind of trying to get their own little community. A&E has done like a show on them trying to get all these collectibles back, and so they might buy them from a dealer or a fan or maybe even another wrestler. It's interesting how these communities of things work, where people who are super passionate about this stuff. I don't mean I'm happy to walk through the museum. But it is wild that you don't think about how big some of these niches are that people would be interested in seeing this stuff, when actually there was a lot of people taking pictures, a lot of people walking through this stuff. I mean, some of the stuff was, I don't know, 30 years old Roddy Piper outfits, from 1985. I mean, that's, wrestling. I mean, that's
Yeah,
37 years ago. That's a long time.
Out the gate, that's been our bread and butter right now. So everything in our beta right now is these like niches that you would never think of. So like one of them, for example, is Polly Pockets, is a really big market, and you wouldn't think about it. And those communities have gone largely ignored in any other platform. So bringing passionate people, like bringing those people that are passionate about Polly Pockets together in a small community, and you wouldn't think of that a little Polly Pockets going for $100, $150, but they are, and they're trading really well. So giving them an inclusive, closed space for them to share what they love, and then bring everything. And when we say brands and retailers, we don't mean like Target, of course. We mean like there's a lot of like people that 3D print like modern Polly Pockets that are like doing IP kind of off the cuff, and like bringing them in, and display manufacturers, stuff like that. Like, it's things that really support what you love. So,
isn't My Little Pony big?
Yeah, yes and no.
I want to know the status of Beanie Babies.
Oh my God. Okay, so one of the things.
Beanie Babies.
So there's a lot of apps out here for collecting, and a lot of those apps try to make collecting seem like an alternative investment, and it's not. Okay, like there are antiques and collectibles can be an alternative investment, right? But when you get outside money into these spaces, it completely destroys the market. So as we've seen, like apps rise, like Whatnot and others, they've poured VC money into the space, and that gets poured into the collectible market, and it'll make a slight boom, like Beanie Babies. The latest one is of course Funko Pops. So you just saw, like, if you haven't seen it, they dumped $30 million plus Funko Pops into a dump. So that's something, like, when we say like building these communities around it and helping them monetize individually, we're just making them an easier way to do what they're already doing inside their communities and bringing them together. And we're not looking to pour like outside investment into it. So when you say something like Beanie Babies, right, like that comes to mind is there are still people that collect Beanie Babies. We actually, so in Norfolk at the mall, there's an antiques and collectible store, and we just ran into Beanie Babies last week there. We actually bought some. So they're still fun, right?
Yeah.
Right. They're not worth anything, but they're still fun, and they should be fun, and you should be able to enjoy stuff like that.
As we're talking about this, I feel like I'm going down memory lane as a child, and I'm trying to think. I wouldn't be surprised if we have like a Cabbage Patch Kid or something up in our attic.
Oh my God! When you say so my grandmother was like a hardcore Cabbage Patch collector and had a Cabbage Patch display room, like every single Cabbage Patch and Barbie from her entire life. Like,
wow.
Yeah, we still have some of them. So, like,
okay. I just Googled Beanie Babies. On Etsy, there is a Thai Beanie Babies Claude the Crab going for $12,350, and Claude the Crab on eBay going for $28,000. You can, oh man, Thai Beanie Baby Peace Bear, 50 G's. Wow. Or you can go to Walmart and get the Thai Princess Beanie Baby for $20.99.
You can get a
sale
from So what we have Squishable, we have a Squishable group, and it's just as good as a Beanie Baby, a lot cheaper for the most part. Right?
So how does so when someone creates a click on your platform, how does that whole process work? Does the organizer of that click, are they able to monetize the group, or is it
They are.
just
So they're able to uh, what we call a creator. So a creator is someone that has some experience in running a group. So maybe they've ran a Facebook group and they have a social following, which right now we're looking for people with social followings of like 500 to 5,000. They're extremely passionate, right, in what they do, and maybe they have contacts with other dealers and they already kind of have an audience. That's the right person to come build a click right now, like as we're going through the beta to test. So they are able to invite all their users, all their audience to their click, and invite the retailers and the brands. So when they do invite them, there's a couple different ways they can monetize. One, you can have a subscription on your click. So just like Discord would have a subscription on your Discord server, you can have a subscription on your click. That subscription only gives benefits. It doesn't take anything away from the user experience. So you can still buy, sell, trade, everything that you could normally do. It's only additive. And then there's other ways for them to monetize. They can send out like monthly swag boxes from their click. So instead of getting a normal invite, you can invite them with a swag, like a merchandise box. Same thing. You can have your brand merchandising. So t-shirts, all your normal merch that you would. That's really promoting your community. You have per item transaction sales, right? And then of course, retail and brand deals. So now how does that work for us? We take 70-30 on merchandise. We take, it's 90-10 split, with 90 going to the creator, 70 going to the creator on merch. And then we do a 20% revenue sharing on the per item transaction sale. So when you think like, how does that work for something small, right? So one of the smallest groups, like yo-yos, I'm like a hardcore yo-yoer. All right. So one of the smallest groups, 5,000 people rolling through 15 transactions a day, but our GMV sits around $200 to $600 per transaction. Which, what does that mean to the creator of that market? That's about $80,000 a year in income for them on a 1099. So something with only 5,000 people just selling yo-yos, very small transaction load, is making them a full-time income just for being an admin moderator of a community that you would have done for free on Facebook.
wow?
So I see on, let me restart. The website looks amazing, by the way. I remember when I first went to it, I was like, it's really nice. So there's a Cowabunga group with 14,000 people in it. Is that an accurate number, or is that just like a display number for you guys to try and get people?
So those are display numbers. We have all of our. So we took a lesson from Nikita Beer, and he did gas, and so we've spun up full groups a few different times with to kind of get feedback, see what they really want, what the community wants, what features they want. And we take it down, we rebuild it, put it back. The reason to do that is we've like gotten through our product market fit like extremely fast. We're not a big team, so being able to iterate quickly on what they want and what it's. So we're a three-sided. It's really a three-sided marketplace for us, and at every one of those we have to give benefit, right? So from dealers, we're dealing with people normally in their 40s, 50s, even 60s that have the product locked down, that we need to offer overwhelming benefit to get them into the app. Right, our creators run from really about 18 to 30, and then our buyers, like, how do we get anybody outside of the click? Can they get guest passes? Like, so there's a lot of different pieces we tried to pull together. And the way to do that was to test each one individually, spin it up, bring it down, keep adding features.
So do you have to have something physical, like, as a fan? So could I start a wrestling click? Are there do I have to have something? Could I just be a moderator of that?
Absolutely. You can be a moderator. So every click has the actual creator, and then it has admins and moderators, just like you would in any other group. Everything it's very democratic. So we have programmatically enforced rules, and then the rest of it's pretty democratic, like actual voting inside your groups. And creators can be, you can pass your group along. So one of the things that's been a problem in the past is you'll get someone that we had like really active Facebook groups that are, buy, sell, trade, and they get abandoned. And then no one really takes it. It's still running, it's still going, but there's no one in charge of it. So make sure, cover down for those issues. But yeah, no, you don't have to have anything physical. You can come in, just love the product and do it. Same with every single community has guest passes that you can give out. So if like, you had baseball cards in your attic, you found the right group that you think is the place to sell it, you can get a guest pass to that group, come in, and you can, either buy or sell your product. So every group's able to give out guest passes, and it's up to the group how long guest passes last for the group. So it's
time to get in that attic, Tim.
Right. Where do you stand on like things like firearms or guns? Is stuff like that allowed on this side?
No. So
because that is just a super highly traded type of.
So right when you say that, so and there's kind of two sides of antiques and collectibles, but they kind of lob them together all in one single market. The biggest things inside antiques and collectibles right now that makes up 50+% of the market is actually coins, and it's followed by the rest of classic things and toys. In the spot we're in right now, which is like pop culture toys, all those, right? That's a very small sliver of the antiques and collectibles. So what you see today, like when you go to Cliqket and you see the very pop arty, that's for that piece. And then we have a different skinned product, which we call Cliqket Black, for real for antiques and collectibles. So like I collect gold and silver as one of my alternative investments, and I collect it pretty heavy. And I love looking for like weird stuff. So it was one of the things, we wanted to do, but it wasn't like having the one app wasn't that place. So there would be a place maybe later for antiques, like antique firearm, never, not modern. We're not that, that wouldn't be our bread and butter. That wouldn't be right for us. So it'd be things that are antique and collectible, which I do have like, so you're talking about a firearm older than 100 years and all those things. The Cliqket Black might be the right place for an antique firearm. There's no place right now for that kind of. I could see. So when you say that though, weird thing like fly fishing, right? That's something you wouldn't think of, or decoy ducks, right? Decoy ducks are hot and they're very collectible. So you wouldn't think like a wooden car painted decoy duck as something, but that would be something appropriate.
Wow.
To have a clip for.
Are you following the whole pending trial between Reddit and the Wall Street Bets person that created it? No, but I followed a lot of that. Yeah. Like how they're doing the shorts and stuff. Yeah. I mean, granted,
that's the one that did the GameStop thing.
Well, he was the one that started the whole AMC stock stuff to try to initiate a short squeeze. Well, granted, this is I only heard his side of the story on a podcast, but what happened? What he's claiming is like, so he created the subreddit Wall Street Bets, created this giant community. We're able to do all sorts of whatever they did, and then what happened was he went. What was happening behind the scenes is that Reddit then trademarked Wall Street Bets and prevented him to monetize like T-shirts and that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's really, really interesting as I'm hearing you talk about your different communities that you're building or whatnot. And, if that is the case, that's pretty shady on Reddit's part to unknowing, for at least them unknowingly to the organizers of it to trademark it and prevent them from monetizing some of the subreddits.
You don't think their terms and conditions say that they own all the content in there, therefore they can do that?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure. Everyone normally does, right?
That's the first thing I thought of when you said that. I was like, well, I mean, don't they own all that? Doesn't Facebook own everything that you post?
I don't know.
So I look at it as more of being a software platform. Like, yes, we're a social marketplace, but I really want to stay in the area of being a software platform. And we'll get to the point where we can add third-party integrations and API integrations for pulling pricing guides and all the other stuff. We have that in our pipeline. I don't want to get in the right? I want real entrepreneurs, real people that love this stuff to be able to monetize their passions, and that's something like, when you listen to Gary Vee speak, it's like you can always monetize something you love. And I want you to really be able to do that. And that's
Yeah.
why I built this product. It's a platform for you to come really do it. Now we work with them when I say branding, I'm working with these creators that are building the Cliques. We're branding you and your Clique, like just like you would like Liquid Death, right? So it's about I grew up as a skater. I still skate.
Me too. Well, I
Right
don't
by
still
North
skate, but
Park.
I grew up as a skater.
Board,
Yeah,
board
so
or blades?
well, both, but I actually still rollerblade, which is like a whole nother. So that was one of the big things of doing this too. We have a rollerblade group to sell blade. Like you wouldn't think used blades are a hot market, but they still go to $400, like $200 to $400 per pair of blade. It's crazy. It's a whole thing. It's a very niche industry, but I grew up like you would represent your clique, right? Like your group, and like in the '90s and stuff, you'd have your shirt, or early 2000s to like really represent, and that's something I wanted to be able to do, is like really represent your kind of crew. Like, so you're really passionate about what you love, represent it, wear the swag, like, and that's what we're helping them do. So these people, the creators may not be, you know, for like brand thinking, but that's what we want to help you do. We want to help you build a real business on this platform. And we're taking, obviously we have to make money, but we're taking responsible cuts of that money, and we're cutting our costs by just smart engineering and really lean. I call it lean engineering, honestly.
It's
So
one of the companies. I had an opportunity to participate in an investment in a company, and I passed. So the company's called Soul Savvy. I passed because it's a community that's built on top of Slack. And so, like, one of the things that always concerned me, man, is like if Slack decided to change, their terms and conditions, then essentially that could shut down the entire business model. And then, sure enough, like, I think it was summer of 21, they went on to raise a $12.5 million Series A. And I'm not sure if the platform is still on Slack or not, but that I like what you're doing in the sense of that eliminates having to build a community on top of something else that could be taken away.
yeah, and a lot of people have. So a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people, a lot of communities build on top of Slack, and then they'll move to Circle, and then that's hard. The benefit is in the community, and you can always take your community elsewhere. We'll get to the point of being, later as we grow, we'll get to the point of being more like a Shopify product. You'll spin up your Clique, your group, and we'll have a million third-party integrations for you to take it out. If you want to go build your own platform and use our APIs to power it, I definitely see us getting there. I wouldn't, grown up as a software engineer, like, I don't want to lock you into a platform. Like, yes, I know there's defensibility in locking you in, but I do want to be able to offer you, like, if you want to build your own portal, we'll get there. Go ahead.
No, that's one thing that's really interesting about you that I want to ensure that we touched on before the show ends, is that you're a technical founder, and that's rare. Take us down that journey in terms of how you got the technical chops, and how things are going for you from that regard.
My background is crazy. I grew up, and obviously in the 80s, like learning, like I wanted to be able to modify games, and that's what got me into programming. So, learning BASIC and all that, and like learning to modify your video games really got me started. And then in the late 90s and early 2000s, I was doing web, and of course you had the dot-com bust, right? I ended up in the Navy, but I still did computers for the entire time. Kept current, and I left the Navy after 15 years, and immediately, like, I left with the intention of doing a startup, but I wanted to get really great experience. So I took 2 full-time jobs out the gate as I left the Navy. I worked 2 full-time, like, software engineering jobs, building startups from 0 to 1 for the last 5 years. With the latest product last year being Book Outdoors, I built a fantastic booking experience for outdoor travel. So I really like cut my teeth in like doing everything from 0 to 1, growing these startups to normally like a Series A, Series B, and then leaving and going finding another challenging problem to build. I wanted to make sure that I could build what I envisioned. I knew I wanted to be in the collecting space, or I wanted to build, a product in the marketplace space. It's something I've always enjoyed. And then I always enjoyed when I went to college, I worked at it was called S Bank, but Small Business Advancement National Center. They did like data analysis for small businesses in our area. So they would come in and they would, ask all the questions, where's the right place to start, all those things. So I got my like early entrepreneurial like spirit from that, like working that there for 2 years and doing all the data for them and helping other entrepreneurs like really early in my teens, like really put that spirit in me. So I knew when I left, like that's exactly what I wanted to do. And, building marketplaces, one of the problems I've had is there's nowhere to build one. There's nowhere to like just spin up a full like eBay, right? I want to spin up my own eBay with Discord or my own looking like eBay, Etsy with a community. Can I do that? And the answer is no. So that's what I built. I wanted people to easily spin it up with a name, pretty much, invite some people and get it going. And that's what we've built out. So yeah, background's been really varied, been really busy for the last 5 years, but yeah, I think it's paid off.
You mentioned 0 to 1 multiple times. What does that mean?
So all of my experience in the last few years has been building it from greenfield. So everything brand new from the beginning. So sitting down with the co-founders. I'm usually the first in, so the first engineer into the company for early stage startups and building the entire product from scratch. And then helping them build the early engineering team and really build out a great product.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Zach? How many? I mean, there's especially in our area, I think that's one of the struggles we have is there's just not a lot of technical co-founders. You're one of the few, and so many people rely on. They need that technical help. Well,
people have an idea. I mean, that's the like. Whenever you preface something with what I'm about to say means that I mean no disrespect to the people who are about to do this, which means I'm about to disrespect the people who do this. It's like one of the biggest challenges is if you have no skill set in starting one of these web businesses. And yes, you can go out there and pitch it and whatever. But if you don't have a legit person on your team, if you have to outsource that actual thing, if you have to outsource that actual thing with your dollars, and then you get it out there, and then something goes wrong and you have to wait 3 to 4 weeks because the person, your outsourced team is overseas. Like I don't know that I've ever seen success in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people over the last, maybe not as much as it was even 5 years ago, but that 2008 to 2015 timeframe, it's like everyone had an idea. And instead of having a midlife crisis and buying that Corvette or that Tesla, they put that money and they spent the $50,000 to $100,000 on some outsourced team that absolutely produced garbage for them, and they've had 0 results from it. And I mean, I could probably count 100 different people that had these things. They say, oh, it was this fault. And it's like, actually, I think it's a lot more than just that one thing that you think. But yeah, like having a technical person on your team, being that technical person, I just like, I personally would never go and be like, I'm going to go outsource this thing. I'm going to go spend $50,000 to $100,000 on this thing. Like there's too many red flags that screw you up all the time. And it's just like, guys, stop spending money. Stop spending money. Stop spending money. This is a bad idea. Maybe if you could figure out a way to spend $2,000 to outsource something to really get it baited out there to see if you can build a little something, maybe. But that's the only environment that I see. That's the only kind of scenario I see where it might make sense. But you'd be better off taking that $100,000, taking some technical classes, teaching yourself to code to get that thing out there. But they don't want to do that. They think their idea is worth billions, and your idea is worth absolute garbage.
Well, Ricky, you touched on product velocity. You didn't use that phrase, but you said you're constantly putting new features out, which is
Yeah.
product
So
velocity. And you're able to do that as a technical
you
founder.
you need to be able to make a hypothesis and test it quickly, right? So I need to be able to test something, get feedback, and keep going. And you can't iterate that loop fast enough with an outsourced team without you being product. You really like even being just a technical founder is not enough. Like if you're you need a product focused co-founder if you don't have one, if that's not your wheelhouse too. You have to have somebody that understands breaking down a problem into something someone wants. So, one of the hardest things I find is finding developers that can like, hey, follow this process, follow, a piece of paper going through an office and then automate that into a piece of software. That's what a lot of people think software developers do, but most of them you're just a coder, right? So having that early product person that can translate the person's problem into a product and then building that quickly. You can't really do that outsourced. You could if you were really, really, really strongly product focused, but that's not a great idea. Like in a tech focused business, you're a tech business. If you're
not in the velocity that you're trying to do, not in the speed that you're trying to do. I mean, it's like, hey, I have an idea. I want to release this tomorrow, see if it works or not. Like if it doesn't work, take it off. If it does work, iterate off of it. Or add to it. It's like that's impossible from an outsourced perspective.
It's too expensive. Even a cheap software developer, like even cheap people, even outsourced is $40, $50, $60 an hour, right? Outsourced to like Europe is usually still sitting at $60 an hour. South America has no change from pretty much American salary. You're still paying them $100 grand. Like, yes, you can outsource some. It's not going to save you any money if you spend $100 grand, you get only what you ask for. So I've worked with, we outsource now, and you get exactly what you ask for. So you have to be very careful what you're asking for, and you understand how to give them feedback and guide that process, or you're going to get a bad product. And yeah, I would not recommend, I completely agree with you, right? So like spend $100 grand learning. And if you're honestly, how are you going to, it's not that you need to know how to do the job, but you need to know how to assess when you hire a technical, co-founder, or you're hiring your first tech person, your first software engineer, you need to understand how to kind of assess that person and the job that they're doing. They should at least be able to do the job better than whatever you can do.
So, yeah, standard Q&A is not good enough.
Yeah, no.
Where do you, Ricky, where do you go to learn new skills or to keep your skills sharp in terms of a resource?
So I listen to a ton of podcasts and of course YouTube as always, but these days I'm in the docs. So I'm in the docs and every single product I use. For me, a lot of the products I build now and Cliqket is built on it is Versal, Superbase, all those. So you're in the docs, you're in their launch events every single week to stay with the latest and greatest that they're doing.
What is that? The docs? What does that mean?
Like the documentation of these, the languages and stuff that we do. Now, product, I look at, I'm also a product. So I look at the best companies and what they're doing. And to be honest with product, I study classic 1980s Apple product.
Steve Jobs was there anyone better than Steve Jobs in product?
No, I don't think so. Like, when you talk about everyone says today, get customer feedback. He didn't, when you look at the greats, they didn't get customer feedback because they were creating their own market category. Right.
Even to the packaging. I mean, they completely changed the packaging. I mean, it's just like, instead of putting it in a cardboard box and being like, take it.
That's with an experience within itself.
Yeah. I think as you said that, Tim, I was like thinking like, who could it be? I think Vince McMahon in WWE has done a really good job of packaging their stuff. Like it's, you don't turn some circus into, a $10 billion minimum business, which is probably what they're going to sell for. I mean, like there's something special to that from that. I mean, I think there's Nike probably too, but the big guys, like it's the big guys and it's from top to bottom. And I mean, maybe even Tesla
Yeah, I mean,
Just
I think Elon's a product guy. Um,
it matters, because if that thing is
oh,
ugly,
it's
then that's
huge.
what people are going to start doing. And it's just like,
Right.
yeah, like I remember when I first looked at your site, Ricky, and I was like, oh wow, I think that was my first thing that I said. I was like, wow, the site looks really nice. Like, you put a little bit of time into that. Like it's beautiful. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, this is what I think he does. I don't know, but we're gonna find out in a couple weeks. And it that matters. Like, if your thing looks like crap, people are
I think
they're gonna think of it like crap.
one of the great companies lately to me has been Liquid Death. The fact that you took a commodity like
He is a
water,
marketing, branding savant. I mean, that
yeah,
dude is.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
And
You
the
turn
product
water.
sucks.
Well,
It-
The
'cause,
taste.
have you listened? Yeah, I mean, his podcast was great when he was on This Week in Startups. You know, and he purposely
Yeah.
chose water because it's the most boring product out there. That it was like, if we can revolutionize how water is sold, and man, my hats off to him. It's just wild.
So is he selling that stuff for $20 at the amphitheater?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I
Unreal.
mean, it's $15 for a case. Like, that's impressive. You took something that's $4 a case and made it 15.
I mean, I go to, because I'm cheap, I go to Costco so I can get it for $2 a case.
A can.
Well,
Not a case. You can get a case of that stuff? Of
oh
Liquid
no, I'm
Death?
talking about, I go to Costco to get a case of plastic water bottles.
I see.
Because I'm so cheap, and it's just like, man, it's wild.
So one thing I would say right now, right? It's not enough to have a great product. You have to have the ecosystem. And that's something like early Apple taught us, right? You know, Liquid Death isn't just water. It's a community, it's merchandise, it's everything. So you have to come with an entire ecosystem with a product today. And I think that that's where a lot of like early stage companies are kind of failing on that, is they're not bringing an ecosystem to go with it. You have to have.
It's super fascinating because like the cans are cool, and it's something that the kids can feel comfortable with holding if they go to a party and if they don't want to be the ones drinking. You know, I mean, it's just like just that within itself.
I always
it's
thought it was alcohol.
Right.
Bro, like I always thought it was alcohol. I don't think I knew it wasn't alcohol until you told me it was water 6 months ago. Like I mean that. Like I was like, wow,
and that's part of the genius behind it all. I mean, it's wild what he was able to do.
I'm interested. You said something that so many people don't do, Ricky, and that is you look at other brands and you try to adopt or at least understand and peel back the onion of what they do. Like I feel like I do that all the time. That's like all I do is I'm like, okay, let's look at this, let's dissect it, and then let's see if there's something there that I can do myself, or provide to one of my clients, or to talk about here. Is that just something that you picked up on? Is that you got advice on that from someone? Like, how did you start adopting that process? Because I would think, I believe that like 99.9% repeating people don't do that. And that's one of it's just such a flaw in their system.
I grew up as an artist too, right? So I'm like a classic painter, like an oil painter. And one of the things you always do is you copy, right? You copy the greats. And when you teach yourself how to paint, you literally copy. Like old school, like you're painting like classical realism, you literally would go through copying statues and you copy a real painting. And, that's how you learn. So when you're looking at the world, like you always, whether it's taking it from art and I'm copying like someone in art and bringing it into my own style, I mean, that's how you continue to push the envelope. And I do think things come in they come in groups, but you always want to look at what other people are doing, how you can do it better, kind of just tweak it a little bit, maybe make it better for your product. I think that's just the way to stay ahead. I mean, you're killing yourself if you're not looking. I don't believe in competition. So I don't believe that you need to sit there and worry about your competition. You don't, right?
Agreed.
You can't make a great product. But you should pay attention to what they're doing and how it's being received, because especially, in an early stage startup, now like something like Liquid Death, they have hundreds of millions of dollars behind them. Something like Whatnot that just went through $200 million funding round. What are they doing and how is it being received and how can you use that? Right. We're on a limited budget. right? I don't have $100 million marketing budget. So how can I take what they're doing and seeing how it's being received and bring it down to my level, and how can I reuse that and save money doing it? They've already done the research for you, like Apple, right? They've spent hundreds of, well, billions at this point on UI UX, studies. Read those studies.
Burger King doesn't actually do market research. They just go across the street from McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same deal as Home Depot and Lowe's and all that
Always,
stuff, man.
it's just yeah.
That's
Why do you think? And maybe both of you can answer this, but like, so many people so early on are like, who are my competitors? I need to worry about this, and I'm just like, I just don't think that like it. I remember maybe when the first time I ever thought of this was like when I worked in TV, and so I'd be at the TV station, I'd be working there, and they'd be like, "What is so and so doing? What is the other station doing? What is the other station doing? We need to cover that." And I'm like, so you're telling me that the person at home is sitting there with their remote, and they're going boom, 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 boom. No, I don't like. I'm like, no, I don't think they do that. Maybe when a commercial comes up, but it's just like that's not normal. Like reality of how a scenario goes. Tim, no, seriously, this is. They'd be like, oh, they're doing it, so we need to do it. And I'm just like, this is so obnoxious. Well, so why do you think people are so worried about their competition, and like almost solely focus on it in sometimes where it's just like, I mean, a SWOT analysis, right? One of the things is your competition. Whenever I hear that, I'm like, I could care less about the competition. Like, just if you're worried about them, just beat them. But like, what does your customer want? What are they like? It just seems so weird that they get so ingrained on the competition side of it.
It matters. So, right, if you're focused on just bulk, getting growth over everything, and you're counting by user, right? That's not going to get you anywhere. And I think that's where the competition comes in, where you're just like throwing sheer numbers at it, right? If you built a great product and you're hyper carrying each person that comes on board, right? They're going to go be all the marketing you ever wanted to be, right? Someone that shops at Target doesn't go to Walmart, or vice versa. If you're a Coke person, you're a Coke person, you're not a Pepsi person. There's no competition there. So like, just building a great product and really hyper carrying your users as they come on board, there is no competition. Once someone becomes a user and you've taken care of them and care about them as a user, why would you worry who,
right?
Why do we have to keep saying that message? Like it just seems so like the journalist.
It's a narrative sold to all early stage startups though, right? Like you're like, oh, you gotta get like push, get there first, right? That's not true, right? Look over 20 years, look over the last 30 years of startups. Being first didn't get you anywhere.
Apple's never really been first in anything.
No, right? Where's MySpace, right? Where's Friendster? Like where before Instagram, right? How many competitors were the exact same product? Like that's not,
they sold it better, right? I mean, it was a damn MP3 player. That's all it was.
Ooh.
With the iPod. I mean, it's just
a good one there was early.
And Apple. How? I mean, they're these things. What are they called?
AirPods.
Yeah,
AirPods.
That's a multi-billion-dollar business. I mean, they're not the last person, the first person to do that.
The AirPods are genius because you took something that was completely unmarketable, which was a Bluetooth headset, become like so faux pas, and then you brought it back into fashion and sold it at an even higher price. Like think of all the Bluetooth headset companies that were out. It was like a thing, and now everybody walks around with AirPods and they're talking on them like it's.
Well, the aura of Apple, right? It's the there's something special. You're getting a product that's not gonna be crap. That's gonna last you for a while. I mean, I remember I had a computer that I got in like 2010. Sold it to my buddy in 2018, and he still uses it today. And it's 2020.
That is a crazy thing, man. Like with Apple laptops, man, with their MacBooks, man, it's like the only reason that they stop working is because they I can't think of the phrase right now, when they no longer update them, those things just go forever.
They do. I mean, it's incredible. And the iWatch, just last one, like what is it called? iWatch, Apple Watch, whatever. that is not the best watch in the world. It's not even close, right? I mean, they're announcing features that I've heard them talk about. Oh, we can now detect what stroke you're doing in swimming. I'm like, okay, well, Garmin's been doing that for like 10 years. So it's funny that they're pitching that as a feature. I saw that on a commercial. But I mean, what do those watches sell for? $300 to $500? I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's just good for them. Happy for them. Happy I own some stock in them. Like, it's just wild. The wild ride for Apple. Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
I agree.
So let's. I know we talked about Clique a lot, and it's been great. Just so that we have it for the record, if I was in an elevator with you, meeting you for the first time, and it was 57 minutes ago instead of right now, like what is Clique? What's the elevator pitch?
Clique lets collectors buy, sell, trade, and share more of what they love from their community, brands, and retailers. That's our one line pitch, right? And if we wanted to expand that, pretty much, putting everyone that loves something in a room together and just enabling them in the most positive way to share it, to buy it, to sell it, benefits everyone. We have a million features to give them, but it's not the features at the end of the day. It's just having a positive community and a positive experience while you're doing all of that. So from sharing it to buying it to selling it, and then partnering you with the brands and retailers that are going to empower you to do that thing you love. That's what we're about.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's community's huge. What in terms of community within the startup space, are you part of any communities in terms of like different founders to bounce off ideas off of one another?
Yeah, so I'm in, of course, 757 Startup Studio and 757 Startup Ecosystem. And then for marketplaces, I'm in Everything Marketplace on there as well. I'm in almost most of the office hours helping other marketplace founders with their technical problems. I would say, like, getting help. This is a very hard path. It's not being a entrepreneur is not exciting. Like, your highs are high, your lows are low. So you need that community aspect to keep you going, to help push you. And then the more people you can meet, right? Just the more ideas you can get in your head, see things differently, how other people might experience your product. It's really helpful to be involved in community. And I think, like, for us, like the 757 startup community has been fantastic. Met some amazing founders, amazing companies. And then for marketplaces, there's no better place than Everything Marketplace to push your knowledge in the marketplace space.
Where'd you grow up?
Oh, I grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, in the middle of nowhere. So
is that where Walmart opened?
Yeah, that's Walmart. Yeah, that is. Yeah. So I was there for almost all my life. My dad was in the military as well, and I was there. And then I grew, like, as a little kid, I grew up in Turkey when he was stationed there at Incirlik Air Base. So yeah, a little bit everywhere.
Spent some time there myself.
What, Turkey or
at Incirlik? Yeah, that's where Terry and I met, and we're married in Incirlik.
Yeah,
is that what the coordinates are?
Mm-hmm.
We lived in the village right outside. They didn't have base housing at the time, so
yeah, we lived off base too.
Yeah, it was a really good experience. I'd go and get the ekmek bread every morning for like a quarter. Yeah. We lived right next to like a mosque right there. It was a really great experience. Like,
like the start of Ramadan was like the craziest thing. I mean, it was just like, man, dude, you want to talk about cultural experience? Wow.
Yeah, it was honestly like really great to have that experience, and then getting to see it all again. Like, being in the Navy myself, I've done so many deployments over that time. Like, saw from everything down all of Asia, all the Middle East, and of course all of Europe. Like, getting to go see everywhere, experience all the different cultures. That's something, like, for Cliqket is really important for us to expand to, like, South American market, Japan as well, and building great products for their communities too. And that's something we're trying to get to in the first 9 months at launch, is to go global to those communities, because they're so big. And our user base, like when we look at social analytics, anything, that's where they're all at.
You did 15 years in the military, I think you said. When did you recognize that, hey, like, I want to be a guy who starts businesses and get out? And was that an easy transition? Was there process to
no.
that?
Everybody, man. Oh my God. So for the last 10 years in the Navy, I had the easiest job in the world. I was called a CSMA. I worked for a Master Chief only, and they thought I was pretty stupid for right. I gave up my retirement, of course, to come do this. So got a lot of pushback, but I would sit there and watch every day, and I planned all this for probably the like 24 months prior to getting out. I sat there and I wrote plans for 2 years, sitting at my console while on deployment, to be able to go put all this stuff into motion, and how each one of the, like, as I build Cliqket out, and then the offshoots. So when I talk about building an ecosystem, we're building an entire ecosystem behind it. It's not Cliqket is one product under that umbrella. And yeah, I thought through that for probably about 24 months. I started going to TAPS like 24 months out, went through the transition. Yeah, got a lot of pushback from my master chief, and yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about that because I punched it almost 13 years, and I got some pushback, so I can only imagine how much pushback you got at 15. But
yeah, to be fair, like I would have really liked that. Like, so my next set of orders, I was on a ship here in Norfolk. My next set was to row to Spain on another ship for the remainder of my career. I would have made E7 in that time, and I would have got forced. So my master chief had tried to retire at 25. Of course, they said no. And you don't realize you can't quit once you go over 20. It's whatever the Navy says. So you can't just quit. And I knew that's where I would end up. And it was really important to me. I had a goal of trying to make it, I said 45 was my goal. So I'm trying to make it before 45 to like just having a really solid entrepreneurial career.
What's something you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
Ooh. Well, for me, one of the things I want to do, the 757 Startup Studio is inside of the assembly building, and Drew, who owns Grow, or was head of Grow here in Norfolk. I've watched Grow and what they've done over the last few years, like for our community here. So that's from the Selden Market to the art on the sides of the buildings to building assembly, and now it's other phases of assembly and helping the community. We are going to be Norfolk based forever. And one of the things I want to do is help build Ocean View back to being fantastic. So that's something like I've lived in Ocean View for about 9 years now. And I just want to make it a really great beach community and then solve a lot of the problems in our community. That's something that we haven't talked about that I want to do here in our own local community.
Super admirable. I look forward to, as the ecosystem here continues to mature, seeing some successful exits of some kind, and just starting to see everything come full circle to plant more seeds, to build more. And I think that, well, we're starting to get close. I mean, there's definitely been some exits, especially in the last few months. There's been a lot more activity than we've seen before. But
exciting times. What exits happened in the last few months?
I knew you were going to put me on the spot. Embody was one that they were just acquired.
That was the medical?
Yeah, they did like the artificial tendons to like do rotator cuff surgery and whatnot.
Yeah. TBD on the rest of them. I'll get you out of that one. We're running out of time, guys. You're gonna have to tune into the next show.
And it's just I'm on the spot right now. But one just Major Clarity was that was in fact an acquisition. So there was an exit of some kind there. But there's been a few.
And if you want to know more, go to starwheel.org where they will tell you all of the stuff. Ricky, it's been great. Looking forward to seeing you continue to grow Cliqket. I love the name. And continued success. Looking forward to chatting soon.
Before we pee some pancakes out of here, are you still in beta? Is Cliqket still in beta? Is it open?
We are still in beta. We have a couple of shows coming up, and then after the show, we have a show in May. or a convention, not a show, but a convention. And after that, we're going to completely come out of beta and be live product for anyone to come and create a market. So
are you taking? Is there any
Go
way
ahead.
someone to get on the list for to be one of the first people? When you
Yes,
come out
if
beta?
you want to create your Clique, just go to cliqket.com, fill out the form, tell us what you want to build. So for the first 40-ish plus markets that we've had sign on, they have exclusivity inside of their market space for the first year. So that's one of the benefits of getting in early, is you're going to have the market space for that for a year out, and that's pretty big. And then we'll be releasing to everyone May 5th or 6th is going to be our official release.
So you're saying that the form that I filled out while doing this show that
I was
says
gonna say,
wrestling, I get a year exclusivity.
Yes, but wrestling is huge in the 757. So you got
Why'd
some
you say
competition.
but? No.
Yeah.
No. I don't worry about competition. Remember, we already talked about this. We'll discuss this later. That's fine. Ricky, I appreciate your time. Tim, always
Always a
good
pleasure.
time, and chat soon.
See y'all.
Peace.